Welcome to the GenTwenty podcast. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Marina.
And today we're talking about job hunting and career pivots with career expert Serena Johnson.
Right now, as we face a continued global pandemic, everyone is at a really weird point because the world's at a weird point. And we figured now more than ever, we could use some clarity. And we brought in our friend and career expert, Serena Johnson, because she's a feminist career coach whose focus is helping people find their dream careers. So Serena, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here with you. Yes, so I am the founder of Ladies Who Do Cool Shit, and I help feminists solve the problem of I need to leave my job, but I have no idea what to do next. So really specifically, I am all about helping them find clarity and confidence in moving towards dreams of their career that they've been like harboring deep down inside, but have never like fully stepped into that power of going after them.
And she's great at it. I worked with Serena at the beginning of the year in a group coaching setting, and now I'm working with her one-on-one. And she's been instrumental in helping me launch my own writing career, which has been amazing because I lost my full-time job because of the coronavirus. And instead of panicking, I just pivoted and said, okay, I'm going to do this for real this time. And that gave me a huge peace of mind.
So, Serena, can you tell us a little bit about how you became a career coach and what led you down that path?
Yeah, totally. So I have pivoted a whole bunch in my life. I got my degree in opera, which is, super useful. I'm a great party trick now. And that took me a really long time. It took me 8.5 years to get my degree. So for all your listeners out there who are like, school's taking forever, school's not for me, I feel you. Because it took me 8.5 years just to get my bachelor's degree. And by the time I had gotten it, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be an opera singer. There's so much about this field that I love the music and I love being on stage, but the business side of things, just that what was going to take for me to get there, I was not about that life. So I needed to pivot and I wanted to stay in the arts. So I moved to arts administration. So like 26, got my first full-time job, sitting in an office, had no idea what I was doing. And I got that job by my boss came into my entrepreneurship class my last semester in college, and I asked for her card and said, "Hey, I think I'm going to be pivoting to nonprofit administration. Can I chat with you about it?" And I went into her office, followed up with her, and then she offered me a part-time paid internship off the bat just because I followed up and no one ever follows up. And so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm really smart and I can learn and I want to do the arts. And so I did that for 6 years and I left. When I left, I was a senior advancement officer for a theater company. So I was fundraising and asking people for the big money. Basically, I would build relationships and then ask them for like $25,000. And realized like there are parts of that job that I was really good at and I really loved, but there was just something else that was missing. While I was doing all this, I was also part of a volunteer group nonprofit called Emerging Arts Leaders Los Angeles. And it was all about professional development. I was the programming coach here and I got to make like 12 to 15 events a year all around your career and professional development and just all of these super interesting topics. And I realized my final year in arts administration that like the part I loved most was actually like the job hunting and the professional development and the growth. And I was always wanting mentors and I knew how to navigate these complex relationships with coworkers and my boss and knew how to ask for raises. And it was just something that came really naturally to me. And I decided that I looked into career coaching and was like, I think I'm going to do this. And quit my job in August 2018, got this part-time job, and we can talk about, jobs that don't fit and not listening to your gut, because that job was horrible. And after 2 months of that, I said, screw it, and then quit that, and then basically built out the foundations for Ladies Who Do Cool Shit and launched in January 2019, and didn't look back. And I've been doing that for over a year now. And needless to say, I'm definitely in my dream job. I freaking love what I do. It is awesome. So that's like quick and dirty, like opera singer to career coach.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's
I love it
that's
so much.
amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, you, like, almost career coached yourself into your dream job.
Oh, that's I
That's fascinating.
100% did, and, like, my program is basically based off of the steps that I took
Mhm.
to find my dream job. 100%.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. It's like it came full circle for you.
It did, and I didn't even know what the I didn't even know what the destination was the entire
Yeah.
I was like, "What is it? What are you? I don't know."
And
That's amazing, oh my gosh.
yeah, I love hearing about how you tried different things too. Our readers are in their 20s and are focusing on beginning or building their careers, or they're making career switches after they realize they're not happy. And some of them are either maybe considering grad school or are in high school trying to figure out college. And it's like that what's next is so scary. And so to hear about you kind of trying a bunch of different things, realizing, oh, after 8 years of training to be an opera singer, this isn't right. Like that's huge to realize you can let go of that dream to pursue a new dream. But like you mentioned, you found your dream career. What does that really mean to be in a dream career?
100%. I think that word is loaded too. I use that
Mhm.
literally. I feel like I should put air quotes around dream because like your dream is gonna change, and we are in an age where like in our generation and for future generations, like the one career the rest of your life, like that's non-existent for some people. Obviously, if you're like a doctor or a astronomer or something, like you will see longevity in a single career path much more than you will in other ones. But like if you are not in a career path like that, like you're going to have on average 7 to 8 different careers and maybe 15 different jobs in your lifetime. So like you got to get real good at understanding what you want out of a career and going for it. And Marina, I'm all about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like to find your dream career, it actually isn't like it's not a thing that you identify. It's actually part of you that you have to identify. And it's what I call the career compass, which consists of like three major parts. It's your strengths, your core values, and your non-negotiables around work. And when you identify these key areas, all of a sudden you're making decisions from a place of what you want and what's best for you and where you fit and thrive, rather than trying to fit yourself into some box of whatever idea of a dream career you might have. Because we all like have that, like your family pressures you into like a certain idea of a career and like
Mhm.
and you feel like you're supposed to be a certain thing, or you go to college and you're like, okay, well, I just got this marketing degree and now I'm supposed to use it in some way. But like, here are all the options. Which one do I fit like best into? And I want you to scrap that and start with like, how do you want your career to look? How do you want to feel in your career? What types of work do you want to be doing? And then finding like a job that matches into that.
And that, like, learning that with you was huge for me because I had always pigeonholed myself into what I thought like a job should look like. And I know that like for my family, all of my siblings and my parents, they like started it, like they got their degree, started in the field, and then stayed there.
Mm-hmm.
And for I have three brothers, and all three of them are still at the companies they started with when they were graduating from college and just grew within the company,
Mm-hmm.
which I would say is now more unique than kind of what I
Oh,
did,
totally.
which I have been all over the place. I've had so many different jobs, and it was so hard for me not to compare myself until finally working with you. I was just like, yeah, screw it. I don't want to do these things that I think I should be
Yeah.
doing. I want to do this.
It's so easy to compare yourself to what you see in other people. And like that might be a great fit for them, right? That might be in their wheelhouse, that might be where they thrive. That's perfect. But you don't have to fit yourself into like this traditional career path if you don't want to. If you do, wonderful. But like that decision has to be coming from like what is true to your core rather than what you think you should be doing. And it's such a subtle shift, but I think it's one of the most important things that I do with my clients is getting them to own what they actually want to do. And it's okay if it doesn't look like one, what their parents thought, or two, what they thought, right? Or like they go get this degree and they decide that it's not like it's not what they want to do. Like we have this sunk cost
Mhm.
fallacy, right? Like you put all this time and energy into something, and therefore when you pivot, you're like, well, it's gone, right? Like bye bye, all of that experience. But that experience never goes away. It's still yours. You don't delete it by choosing a new path. You're taking that experience with you on that journey. And I think it's so important to remember that. So like if you're out there and you're graduating and you're like, I don't want to do this. Cool. Now you have all this experience under your belt and you're going to use it someday, especially if you are coming from this place of authenticity and realness and truth. Like those skills are going to come in handy one day, sooner than you probably think too.
All right, so going from that, so basically, if someone, like again, you mentioned like a sunk cost fallacy, and that's like, so what would you say to someone who is really unhappy in the position that they're in, and they want to move on, but they're scared to let go of everything they've built up?
I would say first take stock of like get rid of the idea of like a dream career. Like don't think about careers, don't think about like what is the future. Don't go on job forums and start mindlessly scrolling because that's just gonna make you crazy. That's just you're gonna be so you're just gonna deplete you so much. I
Mhm.
want I would say I want them to stop and take a step back and go through these three things. What are their strengths? And like your strengths aren't just like I'm good at something. I have these skills, right? That those aren't your strengths. Those are skills, attributes, outcomes of your strengths. Your strengths are the things that you naturally gravitate towards. Like you're always doing no matter what. Like for me, that was building relationships. I always say I can build a relationship with a rock. You put it in front of me and like we're gonna be friends. And there's something super unique about you. Like I know what's unique about Marina, but like Nicole, I would love to hear like what is the thing that you always are doing? It doesn't matter if it's a job, a if it's in your free time, like are you always organizing? Are you always meeting people? Are you like what is the thing that you're like always gravitating towards?
Um, I think my big thing is that I'm always planning my next thing, and I love taking ideas and planning them out and seeing them through to completion.
Mm,
And I love helping other people with that. That's something that I've really like stepped up into a lot lately is kind of meeting in like masterminds and like consulting with other people in my field about how to grow their businesses and how to improve them. And I just love taking an idea and helping it get to its goal.
yeah. And like
That's my favorite
that is
thing.
clear like with next gen, right? That's clear with the blog and this podcast and you have and you probably when you enter into that, like it energizes you rather than depletes you. Right?
Mhm.
That type of work feels activating. And like that's the core of what you need to figure out for step one. Like what is activating to you in your role and like what do you need to do away with? I always say like CEOs, they basically do this, right? They have a whole bunch of people around them that they delegate all this shit that they don't want to do so they can be in their genius zone. And like, what do
Mm,
you need to be in your genius zone? And it doesn't matter if you're an administrator, just starting your career or you're a seasoned professional. It is so important to understand where you thrive and where you don't thrive because when you pick roles where you don't thrive, like you're going to be unhappy and that is a recipe for hating your job. um, so step one is like figure out your strengths and where your genius zone is and where that flow is activated. Step
mhm.
two is always figuring out your core values. I always use the example of like if you're if minimalism and environmentalism is super important to you and you go work for Amazon, which is like where consumerism is king, like you're gonna be so miserable. So like be super clear about what's really important to you. What are
Mhm.
values that are like at your core that need to be held dear? So you're not going into a job where there's going to be conflict because the second there's conflict, that's also a recipe for like being unhappy. And then finally figuring out your non-negotiables, which is like how much money do you actually need to be making, right? How much time do you want to spend on your commute? Where do you want to live? The first things that we sacrifice are our time and our money when there's an opportunity in front of us and we're scared and we're like I don't know if there's another opportunity coming my way, so I better just take this job because it's like almost it's fine. Like it's just $10,000 less than what I'm making, and I might have to like use credit cards for a while, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I don't know. At least it's some money, right? Or like it's a 2 hour commute. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'll listen to podcasts, and you're going to be miserable. And like knowing if you want to work in a small team, a large team, how you want to interact with your boss, if you want to start your own business, right? These are all things that are so important to you. And taking the time to figure those out first before you start applying and before you make the leap is so important. I see people they don't start with this step. They start with the I'm going to go find jobs online, which is like step 5 of this journey, and then they end up in a job that's basically the same thing that they've been doing before because it's overwhelming to job hunt. They're like, well, I'll just stay in the safe zone, the safe miserable zone. And then they go get this job, and then it's this like rinse and repeat, right? And if you start with like it's going to be a little harder and it might take a little longer, but you're going to end up with a different result
Mhm.
every time.
Yeah. What Serena just described was how I job searched for the last 10 years before I met her. And then I met her and it was life changing because I mean the last job I took I was miserable and it was definitely underpaid, but I remember I had advice coming from my family saying, you know, some income is better than no income, and I was just like, yeah, that makes sense, but at the same time I didn't realize I was undervaluing myself and underselling. And then I like couldn't wait to get out of the job because it was just physically painful to be there every day because of how much I had like I just didn't have non-negotiables. I was just a lump.
We're not taught to job search that way. We're
Mhm.
literally taught to like take stock of the skills and experience that we have and make a decision from that place. But sometimes those skills and experiences aren't reflective of what truly makes us happy. And so you're going to keep ending up in jobs that don't make you happy because you're making decisions based on this arbitrary shit, to be frank. And like, it's you have other skills and you have other attributes that aren't on your resume that are important and have value and need to have weight in your life. And it's really scary and hard to pivot to that, especially when our traditional job hunt, right, requires us to like put ourselves on paper and being like, please pick me, sir.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's such a good point because for me, I've never actually applied for a job. When I graduated from college, I had this it was like a work study position, so I mean, you apply for it, but when you're work study, they just give it to you basically.
Mhm.
And it was in the like financial office, and I just did not understand what everyone was doing there every day. Like their jobs made no sense to me. I didn't get it. And like I had to be there since I was like working to get my like work study income. And they would be like, "Well, here's a label maker. You could like organize the supply closet." And I'm like,
You're like, what?
I don't know. Like I did the best job I could possibly do, but I was like, this is not what I want to do, and I didn't want to work on things that other people were telling me what to do. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And I mean that's how I built my business. And I mean I didn't know where all my like income was going to come from. I still don't know like how it's going to come the next few years, but it's going to come because I'm doing what I want to be doing.
100%. Oh my God, I love that. If you do if you focus on you, like things will line into place because then you're coming
Mhm.
from this authentic place. And like when you are networking and you are going on what I'm obsessed with informational interviews, I'm so obsessed with this tool. Um, and you start talking about what you want to do from this place of authenticity, people are attracted to that. And they're going to think of you when opportunities come up. And I see this time and time and time again. When you start talking about something that is important to you, people get excited because you're excited, right? You're not like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, I always work for this finance company and it's fine, right? You're like, no, I am this badass writer. Like, I have this project I'm working on and it is amazing. You should read it when I'm done. I'm just gonna
Mhm.
send it to you because it's gonna be really good and you're gonna love it. So just let me, and then and then people are gonna think of you like, oh, my friend Marina, she's a writer because you told them that you were a writer. People will believe whatever you tell them. So tell them what you want to be.
It's true.
That's a
It's
good
true.
point.
I've done it. I take it from somebody who's done it a whole bunch of times. I just like started telling people I was a career coach. Literally had no experience in actual career coaching. I was like, oh, I'm a career coach. Just started doing it. And a year and a half later, I have a functioning business because yes, it was hard at the beginning and it was terrifying. And like, there were lots of feelings of self-doubt. I'm not good enough. All these awful mind gremlins that you have no matter what stage of business or stage in your career. There always will be imposter syndrome, but
Mhm.
you just have to like keep telling yourself you are the thing that you want to be.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's true. I have a Post-it note on my laptop and on the inside of my laptop. So when I open and close my laptop, it just says, I'm a writer because it took me so long to own that identity. And I was just like, I've been writing for the last, how old am I, 29? I've been writing for the last 15 years minimum. Like, obviously, I'm a writer. I need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's if you don't believe yourself, how will other people believe you?
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
And your identity can change whenever you want. You don't like it might just be a baby identity for a little while and then it'll grow into a full human.
Yeah.
But you have to nurture it and you have to believe in it and you have to support it with decisions
Mhm.
that are true to it. Right. Like you can say, and I think Marina, this was a great example for you. Like you got your MFA and like you were say like you were doing things that were like you were writing, right, in some
Hmm.
form, but you weren't living into the true identity of like your identity of what a writer would be. And like that is a super important shift. And like for most of my clients, especially if you're in this place of a career pivot where you're transitioning from one thing to another and you don't know where you're going, that sense of identity is really hard to find, which is why like I have my clients lean back on their career compass and their strengths, because their strengths are also non-negotiables, right? They're just inherent to who you are. And you're just it's just authentically, it's so authentically you that it's easier to like lean on, because your identity can change in whatever you want, right? You're gonna have a million careers in your life, but your strengths, your non-negotiables, and like your core values, if you create them from a place of truth, like those are authentic and those are completely you.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, it takes a lot of reflection. I know when I worked with Serena in the grouping and group intensive coaching where we built our compasses, the figuring out what my strengths are was so hard. And then as soon as I like sat with it, everything came into motion where it was just like, oh yeah, duh. Like one of my top strengths was empathy, which I knew but like wasn't happy about
I
because
know you
I
were so mad.
I was
You're
so
like,
mad because
oh, you're coaching and you're like, it's empathy.
I know, but in all my traditional jobs, it was seen as a weakness. And it wasn't until I worked through this that I realized, oh, it's a superpower. And it makes a lot of sense why I love writing because I can use my empathy and connection. Like I graduated from undergrad with a degree in French with no plan to use it. Like I did what everyone says you're supposed to do, where I picked what I wanted to study, not really thinking about what I was learning. I was just excited to be entrenched in the language. And then now, 10 years later, I realize, oh, I picked it because I love connecting with people. And that's what I do with my writing and language. And it took me a long time to figure that one out, but now I'm living this truth and I'm like happier than I've ever been and also more confident even in the wake of a pandemic that I have so much ahead of me and that I'm going to be successful, which is a huge pivot from 6 months ago when I was in this miserable job that underpaid me and I just thought, "Oh my god, I'm going to have to live at home forever because I can never pay rent." Like it's huge.
Yeah. And I also love that you brought up that basically like you're connecting the dots, right? Like when you come from a place of your strengths, everything has a through line. It all makes sense. So if you're somebody who's had 7 different careers and you're like, I have had all of these different jobs and none of them make sense, when you start looking at your strengths, like they totally make sense. Like there is an actual through line between opera and fundraising and career coaching. I've even done some like marketing. Like there is a clear through line of that for me. And it's all about building relationships and all about connection for what and me. And like my number one strength is something called woo. For everyone out there, I use the Clifton Strengths Finders 2.0 for all my clients, and it's phenomenal in helping you identify your strengths. And my number one is woo, which means basically like I love winning people over. And like that makes sense because like on the stage, I'm literally winning people over, trying to get them excited about my performance. And then in fundraising, I'm essentially performing because I had to win people over to the the theater I was working for so they would give us money. And like even in career coaching, there is some sales aspects of it, but then also winning people over to this idea of their strengths. And like when I'm living in that zone, like I'm like crackling, I'm like on fire, I can feel it. And like that's what I try to be in. And there's a through line to all that crazy pivoting I did. Like, and it's true for every single person, like every single person. I will fight me on that. Like, if you, I will find it for you. I love it.
That's funny.
And Serena, what I love about your love for connection is your, what's the right word? Your intense belief and faith in community. Can you talk a little bit more about how community can be helpful when you're job searching, and how we really need to stop thinking about job searching as like an island?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. So I wholeheartedly believe that job searching does not happen in a vacuum. If you are doing it alone, like don't stop. Don't do it alone. Get a friend, get a buddy. It's so hard to be on that island by yourself and it feels so lonely. And a true job search is not applying online into those like black holes, right, of the online job search. Um if that is the only thing you're doing is applying online and you're not hearing anything back, like I would be like, yeah, that makes complete sense because they are a vortex of doom and like it's just nothing comes out of there, right? It's like it's soul sucking. And so really activating your and leveraging your network and network. I know some people, I'm going to say network and people are going to freak out and their mind gremlins are going to be like, I don't have any friends, or like, I don't have anybody in my network to ask. I don't have any professional people. Like, no, your network consists of like your immediate network of friends, families, and colleagues, and then an extended network of people that acquaintances, people on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, in your phone you haven't talked to in 10 years. Like that is the breadth of your network. And you can strategically leverage that network to help get you where you want to go. And once you understand, your compass and what kind of the direction that you want to head in, um, then you can start leveraging your network and like building a community to help get you where you want to go. And I think that's so incredible. Like just and like, and I have a Facebook community, and there are so many different people and so many different jobs in there. And like, there are so many times where someone's like a crafter, and I'm like, oh, here, my friend Jigs is a crafter. Let me connect you. And like, I saw on Instagram the other day that one of my clients worked with her, and like my friend Jigs went to my client's workshop, and I was like, what? When did this happen? And they met through career goals, right? Like, and you always meet people through other people. And so if you're job hunting and you go, hey, I'm looking for this role, do you know of anybody I can talk to? I guarantee you they know someone in their network who can connect you to someone in their network, who can connect you to someone in their network. And then all of a sudden you have a job offer. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. And so if you're job hunting by yourself, get a group around you, ask people for help, utilize the people around you. Once you have that clarity to leverage it into a role. And it seems like the slower approach because, right, it's not as instant as I'm applying for this job and hitting send. But
Mhm.
if you can meet somebody who's on the other side of that ATS, right, the applicant tracking system, and instead talk to a human, people want to hire, do business, be friends with people that they know and trust. And that trust is super easy to build. It's quite literally an introduction. Like if someone was like, an acquaintance was like, oh, here, let me introduce you to someone. I just met this someone in a Facebook group. I don't even know their last name or if like where they live, but I met them through this community and I trust that community. Therefore, I'm super happy to introduce you to this person I know, right? Like it's that trust is that easy to create. And that person is more likely to talk to that person because of that introduction. And it's so much faster. And I just don't think you should be ever like job hunting in a silo, right? You need to be applying online, but you also need to be networking and leveraging your relationship. You also need to be working on your personal brand and showing up in the field that you're interested in. It's a full approach job, like full throttle job approach, in my opinion. And so if you're doing it by yourself, don't get help. Get a friend. It's emotional out there, especially right now. You don't need to go
Oh,
out alone.
that is so, so true. And it's almost as if a lot of people are approaching their job hunts from a place of like being scared,
Oh yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
100%. Right? Because you're the way we interview is this person has something that's going to give me money to pay my rent, my bills, and help me survive. So like I have to be like they have to approve of me, right? And so we go into that interview process being so scared and like nervous. But what happens instead if you went into that interview process being like, they're interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing them to see if it's a good fit. And this is just a conversation about whether or not this is going to work out. Like
Mhm.
on a date, you're if you're dating in a healthy way, right? You're going on a date to see if that person fits into like what you want out of a relationship and they are doing the same thing, right? Or like
Mhm.
or even for an evening, right? If it's a good day or a bad day. Like just there's a mutual need that you're trying to fill. And that's job hunting. It's
Yeah, it's a collaboration.
totally. Oh my gosh, yes.
Mhm.
You shift that to collaboration. Like I love going on interviews, but I also like talking to people, so I'm a weirdo like that. But it was a great chance to get to know somebody and meet someone and date around and sing like, is this the right fit? Is this my job? Is this my job? Like, where am I gonna land? And is this person my future manager, the manager that I actually want? Is there ways for me to grow in this career if that's important to me? Does this office have windows? I need sunlight. And if it doesn't, like maybe you shouldn't work there. Like um there's so much. I always I'm a huge believer and like if there's one thing you can take from this podcast is like you are in control of your career at every step of the way. We don't think we are. We think it's like up to like a higher power almost, right? Like it's like a crapshoot, but you are in control of your career and the decisions you make every single step of the way, even in that interview, right? You might not get to control whether they give you a job offer, but you get to control how you show up, how you answer questions, how you look, how you act, what you say, what you project. Like you get to make that choice 100% of the time, and nobody can take that away from you. You can get to control how you feel about your job hunt, what opportunities you're going for. Even now in COVID, you still get. Oh my gosh, did you hear that? You still get that choice.
Which is amazing because I'm pretty sure when I learned how to job hunt, it was just like, oh, you go out and find a job.
Yeah,
And that was all the instruction I got.
and fingers crossed if they say yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? That's not like I mean, I guess you can think of it that way, but you also get a choice of how you think. So, do you want to think of it that way, or do you want to think of it as you going in and seeing if it's the right fit for you?
Yeah. And this kind of goes back to what Nicole was saying about job searching in a kind of perspective of fear. But if we think about how we are in the driver's seat and we get to decide, I think that makes it a lot easier because you can be more confident. And I'm super introverted, and so I struggle with interviews. But if I have the perspective of, oh, I need to make sure this is right for me because I get the final say, that's a huge change.
Yeah, because it's even an introvert can say like, oh, like, do I feel good in this place?
Mhm.
Does it have the right energy that I want? We have a lot more flexibility and freedom with work in this day and age, right? Even 20 years ago, we didn't have this flexibility. Like you can work from home, and I think that I'm hoping that that is the biggest change. That good thing that COVID has brought out is that a lot of these massive companies are like, we don't need to have all of these people coming into an office every day. Um, we can the flexibility of having your own schedule and working from home is now something that is a reality. And that's what a lot of people want. And you like, there are so many things at our fingertips that you get to create that you don't have to subscribe to this old school form of job hunting, right?
I
Mhm.
love it. Hallelujah. Thank you for making some changes in the globe, Serena. We need
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I did not do COVID.
Oh, yeah, no, not the COVID, but
I'm
just
not responsible for.
bringing in some new perspective on job hunting.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that.
So we've been talking for a while about all that you do, and Serena, I'm wondering, like, where can people find you if they want to learn more about getting a career coach or your career coaching?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at ladies who do cool shit. My website is www.ladieswhodocoolshit.com. I have a podcast called Ladies Who Do Cool Shit. Everything's Ladies Who Do Cool Shit. You can find me on Facebook as Ladies Who Do Cool Shit. You can find me anywhere at that handle. There are a bunch of different ways to work with me. One, if you're just looking for community, join my Facebook group. There's over 500 women in there. It's called Ladies Who Do Cool Shit Career Goals, and you can like put it in the show notes, or like if you DM me on it's in Instagram. Um, so it's on my Linktree and Instagram, so you can click on it there. That's a great way to just be part of the community, regardless of where you are and time. It's totally free, and I like post 3 to 4 times a day. I'm super active in that group, and you will get direct access to me if you have a question. You can also join Career Goals, which is a Monday night virtual meetup. There's only 10 people each session. It's $10. It's on Monday nights from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And basically, we celebrate our wins for the week, because I think it's really important to celebrate, especially in this time, that you actually did something. Like, you put on pants, you showered, like, hell yes to you. This is important. So we celebrate our wins, we set goals for the next week, and then we share resources with our community. And there are some great magical things that have come out of that group. And that is $10. But if money is tight, you can use the code Career Goals and get a free ticket anytime. And then if you want to work with me, I have 2 programs. My one-on-one program, it's a 4-month, um, 8-session program to career clarity. And I think when this is coming out, I also have a group program that's 6 weeks. That's about half the price of my one-on-one if money is also in it tight, and depending on like how you want to work. If you want the customized one-on-one package, we can do that. Or you can be in an awesome cohort for 6 weeks, and we go through the 5 steps of my career, of how to find clarity and confidence in your career. And specifically, we focus a lot on that career compass I've been excessively talking about because I'm obsessed with it in that
Well, and
program.
it works,
And
right?
yeah, it does work. I mean, I think that's like that's my favorite part of my client experience. It's like not even the job. The job and the raises are like icing on the cake. And obviously, I love when they happen, but I love when my clients figure out that they can actually go after things that they've been harboring deep down inside them, or they figure out that clarity piece and they have confidence to go after it. Like, that is so, like, Marina, when you came to me, when you were like, I don't think I want to do this, I think I just want to write, I was like, yes.
Oh my God, I was so scared to admit it. And like Nicole's been working with me for 6 years, and she's probably like rolling her eyes thinking like, yeah, duh, of course you should be writing. And it took me so long to just admit it. But
Yeah,
ever since, I've been like a happy,
there's
happy
like
little clam.
there's so much
Mhm.
power in that. And like, I've had clients who've like started crying when they figure it out. I'm just like, yes, tears of joy in my book. I'm sorry you're crying, but also yes. So, but yeah, so those are, I have many different ways to work with me at multiple price points and just, accessibility. And so, yeah, join the group, say hi, tell me that you came from this podcast, and I'll be like, yay. And then I'll tell Maria and Nicole.
Yay, and we'll be
Yay.
excited. And we'll include all of the handles and information in the show notes, of course. But Serena, any last words of wisdom or things you want to share with us before we let you go?
I'm just, life is too short. And life is short and then you die, like literally. And so you have
It's
a
true
choice
though.
of spending it miserable in jobs that don't feel right, or taking risks and being in uncomfortable spaces, but moving towards something that is truly you. And I hope that you find the strength and courage to go after that rather than settling for something that just doesn't feel right. Because, like, I truly believe that the world is a better place when feminists are in charge. And I believe that that happens when we all step into our power and agency instead of settling for something that we've been told that we should want. And so that is my goal, is just to help you, whatever that journey is for you. It does not mean you have to be a CEO, and it does not mean you have to start your own business. It's just truly living into your truth. And careers are, we spend 1/3 of our life working. So you might as well make sure you're working towards something that makes you feel alive and activated rather than depleted and exhausted. Like, that is not how, like, you have one wild and precious life. Like, how do you want to live it?
Thank you so much, Serena, for joining us today and sharing all of your wisdom with us. We really appreciate you being here.
Oh my gosh, yay.
Yeah. And thank you so much for listening to the GenTwenty podcast, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.